The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Today is the last day of the fund drive, and this hour only, we have a $2,000 match.
Ooh, sounds fun. 800-639-8850 or nepm.org is where you go to participate in that. Please do.
Yes, and later in the show, we'll continue our highlights of artistry and the artists performing at Northampton's first night with an in-studio performance by the genre-defying high storytelling band Bunnies.
And we'll get your holiday spirit in full volume when we learn more about the BSO's Holiday Pops concert at Tanglewood.
But first, our year's last conversation with the congressman for the 2nd Congressional District.
And oh boy, is this year cramming in a number of fires that the legislative branch has a hand in putting out.
You've been on fire this week. You've been all over the place. I came into the office yesterday and everybody was like, Congressman McGovern was on the BBC.
What are you listening to the BBC for?
We're an affiliate.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. We carry it every day at 9 a.m. And the people that are in charge of making sure what's on the air is on the air freaked out a little bit because they thought the Fabulous 413 was for some reason accidentally airing at 9 a.m. But then it worked itself out when they realized. But then, let's get into it. It's time for our last weekly check-in of the year with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern here on the Fabulous 413 in a segment we call McGoverning with McGovern. And Congress is about to leave for the holidays as well. And we'll talk a little bit about why you were on the BBC in just a second, but it's been all McGovern all the time, not only on the BBC, but you're on the front page of the Huffington Post today. House Democrat hits Trump with nothing but receipts over his, quote, phenomenal health care fail. It says Representative Jim McGovern stressed that Americans are sick and tired of the GOP's empty rhetoric on the issue. You went and did a date-by-date breakdown of all of the times the Trump administration has promised some sort of better alternative to Obamacare, and as Congress wraps up today, there is no alternative as far as we know. There was some House GOP plan that got some traction this week, but how does it all stand right now as people are bracing for steep increases in their health care?
So as we leave, the Affordable Care Act tax credits have not been extended. But here's some potentially hopeful news. We have 218 signatures on a discharge petition to force a vote on a measure that would extend these tax credits for 3 years. It's a clean bill. And because we have 218 signatures, a process begins. We're in 7 legislative days. We can force a vote. 4 Republicans actually signed on to that discharge petition yesterday. They were frustrated because their alternatives that they brought to the Rules Committee were all turned down. The Republican leadership blocked all of their ideas as well. So they signed on. And so unless the Speaker finds a way to derail this, we'll have a vote. But it won't be until the first or second week of January. So people are going to have to live with some uncertainty during the holidays. A lot of people have decided not to get health insurance because the prices have spiked up so high. And a lot of people are getting insurance and are paying exorbitant amounts of money. And it really is just awful. I mean, there's no reason that we have to be at this point. But there's a little light at the end of the tunnel based on this discharge petition, which I hope moves forward. And then the Senate will take it up. And I think the president, if he gets it, will have no choice but to sign it. For him to veto such a bill, I think would be politically disastrous, not only for him, but for the Republicans in general.
There's been a lot of great local coverage about the impacts of this as well, including with your colleague, Congressman Neal, talking to the head of Bay State Health, which is situated in the 1st Congressional District, where he is the representative there. But Bay State Health showing that the change will mean $1 trillion in federal health care cuts and have a $4 to $5 billion impact on the Massachusetts budget in Massachusetts alone. I know this will also affect jobs in the healthcare industry. What are you hearing about not just individuals deciding whether or not they are going to pay extra to have healthcare or go without, but what does it impact having on the healthcare industry profession? Because it is one of the biggest occupations in Western Massachusetts and Massachusetts writ large.
I mean, let's be clear. When people opt out of health insurance, that means that all of us pay more for our own insurance. I mean, health insurance, the way it works is if everybody pays in, we can then stabilize the cost. But when people cannot afford it and they opt out of it, then that raises costs for everybody. And by the way, it puts these uninsured people in a very, very difficult situation. And they have to rely on the most expensive form of health care if they don't have it, and that is the emergency room. And that puts a strain on our hospitals as well. Now, add to this the $1 trillion cut in Medicaid that's contained in their big ugly bill. The impacts on the healthcare industry in general are going to be devastating. I mean, I was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, doing a town hall in a Republican district last Saturday, and people are talking about rural hospitals shutting down because of the Medicaid cuts. So that means not only people are not going to have access to health care, it also means that there's going to be job losses. So, I mean, this is all terrible, quite frankly, and we have to be able to change course. And yesterday, when these 4 Republicans signed onto the discharge petition, I think it was the first indication that they're hearing from their constituents. Their constituents are saying, hey, if you're not part of the solution, we don't want you going back to Washington because you're not representing us.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, this leads into a question from Karen Das, who says, thanks for taking questions, Representative McGovern. I recently read that Speaker Johnson is losing support among his Republican colleagues in the Republican caucus and is in danger of losing his speakership even before the midterms next November. Is this something that you're seeing? Do you think that the speaker is losing his power and may lose his speakership?
This speaker has no power. He's given it all to Donald Trump. I mean, he is incapable of standing up for the House of Representatives. He has shown no interest in distancing himself from the president when the president says or does stupid things. And when the president posted this horrific post about Rob Reiner's tragic death, the speaker was asked about it in the morning. He said, I haven't read it. And in the afternoon, he's like, I can't comment on everything. I mean, he's just so frightened to say anything. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene has kind of threatened that. We'll see whether she follows through with it as her parting gift, because she's leaving Congress after the first week of January, to move to vacate the speaker's chair. So I don't know how many Republicans would vote with her, but, if there are 4 Republicans that will vote with her, then he's done.
Wouldn't that have to happen today?
No, she's coming back for the first week.
Oh, okay. So there'll be at least another week of Marjorie Taylor Greene before she.
Yeah, another week of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The grass is always greener on the other side of the calendar.
Yeah, I'll give Marjorie Taylor Greene credit though. She voted with me last night, on my war powers resolution, basically saying you can't go to war in Venezuela without congressional authorization. She was one of 3 Republicans to vote with me, and I appreciate that. I don't appreciate her on 99.9% of her other votes, but on this one, I was grateful that she voted with us.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit more. That is the reason you were on the BBC News yesterday, and everyone was all aflutter at NEPM hearing you on that international show, which I'm a huge admirer of. I love the BBC. Donald Trump, not so much. Trump did give a primetime speech last night, and many thought that it would have to do with announcing an invasion of Venezuela. Your war powers resolution that Marjorie Taylor Greene signed onto ultimately did fail.
Yeah.
What is the next step here? There are other conspiratorial minds saying that the Epstein files are due to be released tomorrow and that we should expect a possible ground invasion of Venezuela tomorrow. Are you hearing anything along those lines? Or what is the next step now that Trump has almost unlimited war powers when it comes to this sort of thing?
Technically, he doesn't have unlimited war powers. This is an example of Congress just caving. I will probably reintroduce another privilege resolution on war powers because I really am concerned that we're in a kind of a wag the dog situation where he'll go to war because he wants to distract from some other things that are going on in his administration, whether it's the Epstein files or the lousy economy that he's presiding over. Look, the one thing I have learned in my life is that it's easy to get into war. It's hard as hell to get out of war. I remember when George Bush wanted us to go to war in Iraq. He said, hey, no big deal. We'll be in and out. It'll be a cinch. Well, we all know how that turned out, right? I mean, American lives lost, innocent Iraqi lives lost. We moved the country up. We rebuilt the country, and it cost us over $1 trillion. And we're having arguments over whether we can extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit so that people can afford their health insurance, and they say we don't have the money. We're saying we need to do more to combat hunger. We don't have the money. We have a housing crisis. We don't have the money. You don't have the money, but you have the money to launch all these military actions against Venezuela? I mean, give me a break. And by the way, this is not about drugs. It's a real problem, drugs coming to this country. But fentanyl is coming not from Venezuela, but from China. The majority of drugs coming to this country is not from Venezuela. It's from Mexico. Do you want to go to war with those countries too? It's not about human rights because this president doesn't give a damn about human rights. So what is it about? Oil? The stuff that he cares about is how he can make more money for his family and for the close circle of friends around him. And I think people have to be vigilant, and we have to be engaged. And I hope at the end of the day, cooler heads prevail and he decides to rethink this. But with him, you just never know. And I think it would be a very dangerous thing to do. And I think it would be terrible if Congress sat on the sidelines. The Constitution says Congress has the authority to declare war. And I get it, this Republican Congress doesn't want to do anything but go along to get along. But they're ruining the institution if they're not insisting that we live up to our constitutional responsibilities.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, McGoverning with McGovern, we talk a lot about making sure our neighbors have enough to eat, making sure there's enough food to go around. We just got off the March for the Food Bank less than a month ago, and there is some more SNAP news. According to the Associated Press, 6 more states are joining the growing list of states signing waivers to ban using Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, for quote-unquote non-nutritious items like soda. The USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins and Robert Kennedy Jr. are approving these 6 new states with the food waivers to make America, quote, healthy again. What's your take on SNAP and soda? Should soda be banned from SNAP if this is a nutritional assistance program?
I'm not a big fan of that approach. I mean, and let me tell you why. For some people, they don't have the luxury of being even able to shop at a supermarket. They live in areas where there are no supermarkets. I mean, we have areas in my city of Worcester that basically have no supermarkets. People rely on these corner stores, and that's all they can get is what is available in those corner stores. SNAP is, on average, about $2 per person per meal. You know, what we ought to do is we ought to enhance that benefit so that it's actually a benefit where people can afford nutritious food. 2, we ought to do more in our schools about teaching our kids what good nutrition is and how you prepare meals. We ought to expand SNAP education, and we ought to allow people to embrace a more nutritious approach to food, but giving them the tools to be able to do that. So focusing on, I'm going to restrict, you can't buy soda, you can't buy this, you can't buy that, you can't. All right, if you're totally reliant on a corner store for all your groceries, or if it's your kid's birthday and you want to buy some soda or you want to buy some ice cream or whatever, you got to be able to do that. They approach this stuff in a very punitive way. And I think what works is just the opposite. What works is an adequate benefit. What works is SNAP education. What works is teaching people how to cook. You know, I've visited people in their homes. They don't have refrigerators. They don't have stoves. That's in Massachusetts. So, you know, we want to make America healthy again. But these guys are cutting SNAP by $200 billion. And they're focused on banning soda. Give me a break.
We are coming to the end of 2025, and I realize it is just an arbitrary human-created date on a calendar, but it does give us a moment to pause and reflect. And 2025, I know for me and for you, has both been professionally and personally very rough. But we are going into a new year, which also brings with it a new sense of hope. What is something you're feeling hopeful about, Congressman, as we head into the new year?
I feel people are more and more aware of the dangers of this administration and of this Congress. I really do. I mean, I mentioned I was in Scranton, Pennsylvania last week. They don't know me in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Hundreds of people showed up to the town hall, and people were very, very engaged. People of all ages, not just older people, but younger people as well. And people understand that if you want to make this country better, that we all have a role to play. I mean, I used to have a history professor who used to end every class by saying, the world will not get better on its own. Class dismissed. When I took a class, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I do now. I mean, nothing in this country, nothing in this world gets better unless like-minded and good people come together and work for a better world. And I'm just getting the sense that there's this kind of rising tide of activism and a rising tide of goodness. People really wanting to have a country where everybody has health care, where everybody has enough to eat, and a world that is more peaceful. So I just see that movement growing. And it's not about politics per se. It's about just a better world. So I refuse to be cynical as we enter the next year. As you mentioned, this has been a tough year professionally and personally, and we just can't give up. So I wish everybody the best during this holiday season and the happiest new year. And we're all going to recharge our batteries during the holiday and then come back and fight harder than ever.
U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts joins us every week, and we will reconvene in the new year when Congress is back in session and the show is back on the air. But we, at the show, and our listeners, I know, really appreciate you making yourself available in this way week in and week out. If you've got a question for the congressman, you can send it to us at thefab413@nepm.org. Thanks so much, Congressman McGovern.
All the best. Thanks.
Coming up, we'll get our holiday spirit filled when we talk with folks from the BSO about the Holiday Pops concert at Tanglewood.
After which we'll hear music of an entirely different sort from Northampton's Bunnies as they prepare for that city's first night celebrations.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Hashi Pottery in 50 Arrow Gallery at Eastworks. Japanese-inspired ceramics and textiles, where every piece is handmade in the Pioneer Valley for home, ritual, or someone dear. HashiPottery.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Eastside Grill, celebrating 40 years in downtown Northampton, serving steaks, seafood, and American cuisine to the Pioneer Valley and beyond. Open for holiday lunch. EastsideGrill.com.
I know that Monty's probably going to repeat it, but you do have the perfect last name to be a part of a holiday concert.
Dang it! That was going to be my joke. Michael Winter, did they mandate that you were part of this as part of the BSO because your last name is Winter?
Or is it just because of you being the principal horn?
I think that just got defaulted because of my job, yeah.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. The newest holiday tradition in the Berkshires is the Boston Symphony Orchestra's Holiday Brass at Tanglewood, December 19th through 21st. You can join members of the BSO's brass section for a program of cheerful and uplifting seasonal music.
The BSO debuted this program with 2 concerts last winter, and it was so popular that they extended it to 4 this year, including a 10:30 a.m. Tanglewood Learning Institute for Families performance on Sunday, December 21st.
We are joined by 3 of the folks behind this. Mark Ruleison, the artistic administrator for the Tanglewood Learning Institute and Humanities, and Mike Roylance, who is a tuba player for the BSO, as well as the so appropriately named Michael Winter.
The principal tuba and the assistant principal horn for the BSO and principal for the Pops.
Wow, thank you.
Putting respect on the names.
Thank you all so much for joining us. So this is just the brass, the top brass that are doing this performance.
That's correct. The top shelf brass, that would be us.
So I definitely associate horns and brass with holiday songs. There's just something about it, especially in arrangements of popular music that is holiday oriented. But why did the BSO decide to do one out at Tanglewood, which is usually closed in the winter?
This might be a good question for Mark Ruleison, who is the artistic administrator.
Sure. Well, Tanglewood's not closed in the winter anymore. We have year-round programming in Studio E as part of TLI. This year, for example, there's probably going to be just over 40 events between September and May. We started building that last year, and as we were building it, I wanted to include in our programming something in December for families to do together, to build a tradition around, like a Nutcracker, like a Christmas Carol, like the Rockettes, like in Boston, the Holiday Pops. Like you, I think there's something special about the sound of a brass ensemble in December around the holidays. And I asked our brass section if they were interested in being a part of this, and they said yes. And last year's concerts were a huge success, so we're growing this year. We've basically doubled the number that we have, and the number of seats we have, and the number of chances we have to make people happy.
Michael Winter, the Lindy Center, is a resource at Tanglewood. Can you tell us a little bit about that building, why it's nice to be performing there indoors at Tanglewood in the wintertime?
So the Lindy Center is Tanglewood's newest building and venue. It's 4 seasons, so it doesn't matter how cold it is outside. It's a wonderful place to be inside. It was named for Joyce Lindy and her family, who have been longtime supporters of the Boston Symphony and the Boston Pops. We could not be happier to be enjoying this wonderful space and to be part of making Tanglewood really a 4-season place for patrons and families, which it has previously not been because it's all been outdoors previous to this.
Mike Roylance, how often does the brass section of the BSO get to separate itself out and do something on its own like this?
It's pretty rare for our particular brass group to be able to perform these types of concerts. The BSO does have a contingent of chamber music they put on throughout the year called the BSO Chamber Players. And they also perform throughout the winter season now at TLI as well. But the brass section is not part of that. So we relish these type of opportunities to get a chance to perform. And obviously the public demands more. So hopefully there will be more of this.
Mike, you're a tuba player. And the first year we were on the air, we had, I don't know how many it was.
17.
17 tubas in the building for a Christmas concert. Tuba Christmas is a thing that is around the country, but there is a Greenfield element. There is a Springfield element here in Western Mass. Have you ever participated in one of these, what feel like amazingly maniacal amount of tubas for Christmas concerts?
I love the term "amazingly maniacal." Yes, I have. I've had the honor several times. One of the most distinguished personalities in the tuba family is his name is Harvey Phillips. He was a professor of tuba at Indiana University for decades and started this annual Christmas tradition in Rockefeller Center in New York City, and it still goes on there. I think 300 or 400 maniacal tuba players in Rockefeller Center, and it is an event that occurs in, I would say, about 300 cities worldwide every year.
Cool.
It is really cool. Anytime when it gets to a ridiculous number of anything, it's always fascinating to me.
I'm not sure if we're a gaggle or a giggle or something, but
I hope it's a giggle of tubas.
A giggle
I don't
of
know what the
tubas.
superlative is.
I know.
I love that.
And we are talking about the BSO's new holiday tradition at Tanglewood indoors. That's happening December 19th through 21st. The BSO's Holiday Brass at Tanglewood. Michael Winter, you are a principal horn for the BSO. Which horn?
French horn.
Okay,
So we just say horn because that kind of keeps it simpler for us. It can get complicated sometimes because jazzers refer to horn as any brass instrument. But
I see.
associate principal horn, the BSO, principal French horn, the Boston Pops.
We don't call it French horn anymore because of the Trump administration. They don't allow it.
It's freedom horns now?
Yes. French horn, though, is a super Christmassy sounding horn. Does it feel like a Christmas instrument to you, Michael Winter?
It absolutely does. There's a zillion Christmas tree ornaments that have horns on them. To be honest, the brass in general are just kind of a perfect fit for uplifting, happy holiday stuff. I think that's probably why Mark reached out to us originally to ask about performing at TLI, because between our quirky sense of humor and personalities and the sounds of the instruments, I feel like we're a really good fit for this season.
So what is going to be on this program?
We've kind of built our program similarly to how we build our Boston Pops holiday programs in Symphony Hall. So we've got a mix of very festive, more classical stuff, but is in the same flavor of the usual holiday music. Some more serious of the holiday tradition, like Lo How a Rose. And then the second half's a little bit lighter, sometimes jazzier, goofier Christmas and Hanukkah standards. So a lot of stuff that people know and be able to sing along to.
I'm going to give you a moment to think about this question, but I want to ask each of you, what is your either favorite or least favorite holiday song? You can either throw an entire holiday song under the bus, or you can uplift your favorite holiday song from any genre. Khalees and I often love to make fun of Paul McCartney's Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
Because it's terrible.
I think basically every incarnation of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is the best, especially the lyrics that are really sad about not being with the people that you love this year. And I love sad holiday music, I realize. Do you have a favorite? Artistic Administrator for the Tanglewood Learning Institute in Humanities, Mark Ruleison.
I think my favorite's probably Santa Claus is Coming to Town, because you can kind of start it, straight, and then you hit the bridge and you've got the backbeat on it, and you can cross genres with it. Plus, who doesn't love the implied adventure of Santa showing up, bringing presents and having fun and making the season bright?
I think you should do it in a minor key and then really lean into the you better watch out, you better not cry, he sees you when you're sleeping type lyrics.
The other trumpet player in the group, Mike Martin, is an arranger. We'll get him on that right away for you.
What about Mike Roylance, the principal tuba for the Boston Symphony Orchestra, who's part of this BSO Holiday Brass at Tanglewood happening December 19th through 21st? Favorite or least favorite holiday song?
That's sort of a revolving door in my mind. I was just so happened to be adding up the amount of times I've had the pleasure to perform Sleigh Ride, which was commissioned for the Boston Pops in what was it, 1955?
Oh, wow.
Michael? Is that when it was?
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
And I was just counting up my performance number, and I think I broke 900 this year.
This year?
So that No, not in 1 year, but
I
total
see.
lifetime accumulation is around 900.
Wow.
So that song sometimes wanders into that category of least appreciated. I would say the song Christmas song that was made famous in the Peanuts is definitely one of my faves. And I think one of my all-time favorite songs, which I don't think we're doing, but it's the most wonderful time of the year. That there's some really nice big band, full orchestra, big band arrangements of that.
What about you, Mr. Winter himself, Michael Winter, principal horn for the BSO?
I like what you're doing with his last name there, by the way, Mike.
Well, I'm going to
Thank you.
lean into that too.
I'm enjoying this quite a lot. I will say, go back and forth with 12 Days of Christmas. Sometimes I love it. The version that we play at the Pops, we've done every performance in every year of my entire time here. Sometimes it's like, well, it might be nice to have, a day off from that. On the flip side, the version we're doing on this performance is a really fun version that a lot of us grew up listening to an old recording of Philadelphia playing. And it's really, really fun. I'm particularly excited to do 12 Days of Christmas with the five of us this weekend.
It's hard to contain Mr. Winter from standing up and singing. So I'm sure if the audience is encouraged, they might be able to get Michael to jump in there and just lay it down. It's true. Sometimes we have to put a seatbelt on his seat to get him to stay seated. And play, so.
I mean, if you can't get up and jump around at the holidays, when can you?
Yeah, right. It's fun to act inappropriately at any BSO performance.
Yeah, we get so excited sometimes I just have to zip tie myself to the chair just to make sure I'll, keep it together.
Did we mention that these concerts were going to be fun?
That's for sure.
Whenever you have brass, it's pretty much going to be fun.
It's also good that it's indoors so that your lips don't stick to your instruments.
That's true.
We appreciate your empathy.
We try. Mark Wilson, can you talk about how this particular concert was sort of a wedge to getting TLI to be open year-round?
I don't think it was a wedge to getting TLI year-round, but when you're building a year-round season and building an audience and trying to have something for everyone, it's just natural to have holiday music. In my family, we use the expression something to look forward to. This was really about, having this moment in this season that could become an annual tradition that people would look forward to bringing their kids to. I'm old enough that I may not make it, but, my vision is 20 years from now. We have people saying, my parents brought me to BSO Holiday Brass as a kid, and now I bring my kids. That's the kind of thing that I want from this and that I hope for our players, for our audience, for our community.
I mean, I feel that way about the BSO's Holiday Pops show in Boston because, that was, one of the two concerts that we got to go to. We would go to 4th of July at the Hatch Shell and then Holiday Pops. So for Mike and Michael, what's it like being a part of that really long, really ingrained tradition and maybe also about bringing it west?
I think it's really amazing to have this tradition starting in the Berkshires, and again, props and appreciation to the Lindy family for having the vision to do this. But I've been in the BSO 23, 24 years. My family has a place in the Berkshires. We spent a lot of time out there. I had always driven by Tanglewood during the winter and wondered, wouldn't it be amazing to have a series that could benefit the community all year round? And now we do. The tradition, I assume you're talking about the long-standing tradition of the Pops on the Esplanade 4th of July celebration. And that has become part of the fabric of the community in Boston, as well as the Boston Pops being the fabric of Boston as a whole. When I moved into Boston, we bought a house, and was explaining to my neighbors what I do for a living. It's like, I play the tuba, and they were like, oh, okay, that's weird. And then they, so you're in the Boston Symphony. Oh, that's interesting. And I also play in the Boston Pops. And they just about dropped on the ground. You play in the Boston Pops? You know Keith Lockhart? Oh my God! So yeah, I think the Pops is absolutely integral to the community and the fabric of Boston. I think it's fantastic to bring this out to the Berkshires. So
I completely agree. I'm thrilled that we're coming out to the Berkshires. Any chance that any of us in the brass section have to get out to the Berkshires, we will jump on it every time. One of the things about the Pops is that over decades, we've built this culture of everybody's welcome. So during a holiday concert, whether you're religious or not, blue collar, white collar, doesn't matter. Everybody's going to feel welcome. Everybody's going to have an absolutely great time. That's something that's been built over decades with the Boston Pops, and we're thrilled to bring that same kind of energy and enjoyment out to the Berkshires.
Yeah, this year we're going to start a new part where we're going to take requests. So as long as you request what we have on the program, we're happy to play.
Yeah, your options are going to be really narrow.
I guess Dominic the Italian Christmas Donkey isn't happening
That
this
song
year.
is
Then
also weird.
yeah, it is weird.
But actually, if you requested for solo tuba, most of us are going to be really excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, I can't wait. It is the Boston Symphony Orchestra's Holiday Brass at Tanglewood. 4 shows happening between December 19th and 21st at Tanglewood, indoors in the Lindy Center. And we have been joined by Mark Roylance, the artistic administrator of the Tanglewood Learning Institute, as well as principal tuba for the BSO and the Pops, Mike Roylance, and Michael Winter on French, or just horn, the principal horn. You guys are a hoot, and you're going to be a toot, I guess, with your brass over the weekend. Yeah, that's a good. That's the perfect. Yeah, people love brass when it comes to bad jokes. All brass instruments. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for having us. Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, while we're still here, Mike, can I still bum a ride into work today?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I love it. A French horn and a tuba. Get into a car.
Find tickets and information about all 4 of the BSO. Oh, it doesn't count.
It doesn't count about Whamageddon because this is the all tuba Christmas version
covering
of,
it
of
just
Last
in case
Christmas by
for
Wham.
all you people out there. We wouldn't take
We wouldn't
you
do
out.
that to you until the last show tomorrow, maybe.
Find tickets and information about all 4 of the BSO's Holiday Pops concerts and more of the events happening at Tanglewood now year-round by heading to bso.org.
And now to check out one of the most surreal bands performing at First Night Northampton this year, Bunnies.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Comfort Bagel, scratch-made artisan sourdough bagels, spreads, and sandwiches for breakfast or lunch on Main Street in Westfield and at their new location in Holyoke at 92 Race Street. ComfortBagel.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, specializing in solar installations, battery storage, and clean energy solutions tailored to the homes and businesses of Western Massachusetts. Northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. This week we're bringing you the music of First Night Northampton, and our next musical guest is Bunnies.
With Horror Spectrum, Bunnies' 4th LP in 20 years, these Northeast weirdo lifelongers plunge headfirst into the shadowy abyss of their art rock multiverse, unearthing sounds that slither, shimmer, and scream, and change time signature a lot.
I love it. Equal parts psychedelic hallucination, krautrock ritual, and noise rock exorcism. This record has been described as the sonic aftermath of mad scientists summoning ghosts through an analog synthesizer they excavated from a cursed tomb. I don't know who's writing this on your website, but they're awesome.
And they're accurate.
Yes. And if you loved the BSO conversation we had earlier, you may or may not love this. We love it both.
Everyone encompasses multitudes.
Yes. Playing First Night Northampton at First Churches at 5 p.m. Welcome to the Fabulous 413, Bunnies. Thank you so much.
Close your dreadful eyes. And drift away into blackness. Sleepy demon, you're so sleepy. Lay your horns, hearts are bloated, livers of torsos, livers of torsos, livers of torsos. Your snake eyelashes make your eyelids heavy. Slumber now in your evil, putrid embrace. You reigning couple of the netherworld and dream up screams. It worked again. 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 Sleepy demon, you're so sleepy. So sleepy.
My headphones fell off.
And I tried to get them back on you
I know, it's okay.
in the middle of
Y'all
the
were in
song,
it.
but yeah,
Thank you
but
for trying.
all's well that ends well. And that was the sound of Bunnies, who are playing first night, Northampton, First Churches, 5 p.m. That is Jeremy Macomber Dubs, Rebecca Macomber Dubs, and Matt Newman.
You're missing one, correct?
Yes, Jack Godleski, or Jack Science, as he's called in Bunnies. Yes, he could not be here today, and we miss him.
So 3 out of 4 bunnies.
3 out of 4
Yes.
bunnies. Most of you work in public service in one way or another. Does that now influence your songwriting?
Oh, wow.
We actually, on this record that we just put out, the second side is a long 22-minute prog jam, and the main character
That's right. Yeah,
is a city council member.
that's right, yeah.
That brings us to our next point, which is Jeremy is a sitting city council member in the city of Northampton. Luckily, there's no drama with the city council in Northampton
None whatsoever.
at all that we could possibly talk about right now. But you did run unopposed
That's right. I was the only counselor that ran unopposed.
in an otherwise very contentious city council election in that city.
That's right. So I was very happy to be reelected and looking forward to my second term.
Right on.
What are some of the things? Well, we should talk about bunnies. Forget it. We'll talk about city
Yeah,
council
we're here to
later.
talk about.
We're here to talk about bunnies.
We're here to talk about the band.
Okay,
and then
go
we'll
ahead. You go
get
for it. Go for
Jeremy
it.
back to talk about city stuff.
I will also say that this is Jeremy's third appearance on the Fabulous 413, once as a city councilor, once because your life was chronicled in the movie Tallywhacker that tells your story and has been making the festival circuit, and now in your incarnation as Bunnies.
Yes. I have multiple lives that I lead, and happy to be doing all of it. So,
I mean, that plurality shows up in Bunnies because there's all of these instruments and all of these effects, and it's a prog fantasy wonderland. It's so hard to describe you when I describe your band to other people. You did well in your blurb about it.
That we read at the beginning, the part psychedelic hallucination, krautrock ritual, all that.
But what was the path to this sound? I don't think anyone starts where your band is.
it sort of started with Jack and I. We're from Pennsylvania, and we were in a band that we started in Pennsylvania called the Bunnies. And when we got the opportunity to open for the Pixies at the Mullen Center in Amherst in 2004, we were still living in Pennsylvania, but we decided to move to Northampton to kind of get ready for the tour that we were going to be doing. And we met so many musicians here. We found a drummer and another guitar player who lived out here. And just the experience of playing in Northampton and getting to know this, like the scene, like the noise scene and all the experimental music that happens out here, definitely had a big influence on us and on Jack and I's songwriting. And there was just a point that came when we realized that we sounded different, like this was like a new sound that we were doing with all our new songs. And so it just felt like the band name change was also appropriate.
From Bennies to Bunnies.
Yes, exactly.
Also, you got a new
just one
drummer,
letter.
too.
New drummer, exactly. We got a new drummer.
20 years ago. I'm
Matt
still,
Newman,
I'm
yeah.
still making my way into the band.
One of my favorite of your Pixies stories, though, Jeremy, is right after Kim Deal had left the band, they released a single, and I was like, how did they get Kim Deal to sing on this? But it wasn't Kim Deal. It was you singing background vocals on Bag Boy. And
Yeah.
subsequently, you're playing guitar now, but you've played drums with Black Francis, Charles Thompson.
On the demos, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I played
then you've been on a couple of shows with him.
Right,
that
I
I've
played
seen.
some shows with him.
Yeah, so that's a fun, another local musical connection. We had Juliana Hatfield on the show last week, so we live in a pantheon of rock icons here in the Valley, I think.
You guys were really taken with her.
We were. We were
understandably.
We were smitten. Juliana of Hatfield.
I mean, like, yeah, I'm still kind of riding that high just a little bit because that was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow,
But
yeah.
we're here to talk about your band, not people that we can't hold our chill around. This is cool because I get to talk like crazy amounts of process. Also, Rebecca, your bass is beautiful. Rickenbacker basses are awesome, but you play like how many instruments for this band?
Just two, actually.
Just two?
Just two, yeah.
Bass and trumpet.
You'll hear the trumpet, I think, coming up relatively shortly. Bunnies is playing first night Northampton at First Churches at 5 p.m. on New Year's Eve. Not your first time playing first night.
Yeah, this is our second time playing. It was a couple years ago, right, Matt?
Pre-pandemic.
Right before the pandemic. Wow. Okay. So in my mind, it's all such a blur. Yeah.
Either in your roles as band members or members of the city council, what does first night mean to that city and you?
I think it's a great opportunity to play at first night because so many people come out, like with their families and children and parents and people of all ages come out, and I like being a part of it. I'm definitely honored to be a part of it. Yeah.
Also, get them exposed to like weird music early, and then their ears are much wider later in life.
Yeah, we had Zakina, who play African music on the show yesterday, and then you hear Bunnies there, and you walk down the street and you hear Peter Blanchett playing an arch guitar that he created so that he can play Bach music, and it really runs the gamut. It's a wonderful event. Well, Bunnies are playing at first night, and they're playing right now in the Fabulous 4 and 3. Let's hear another song from Bunnies.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're gonna just switch instruments.
Time to put the Rickenbacker down and pick up the horn.
We've thought about ways that she could do both at the same time, but it's not quite possible.
One of those trumpet stands,
yeah, a trumpet stand, that'd be funny.
Oh yeah,
like a Bob Dylan style.
That's what I was going to say, like the harmonica equivalent of like a trumpet holder.
That'd be so amazing.
But then like you'd have to valve with one hand.
Here's Bunnies on the Fabulous 413.
Thank you.
Now I understand what kind of person I am. Lost but hesitant man. Even as a child, as far as similarity is no different than the others. I recognize this familiar feeling. Giants, the stretched up timer around me. Giants are damn long time stream. The distance you're asking me. Questions that make me uneasy. With my own morning systems. Beans are stuck in my brow. Stung is the first stung that I was aware of. I stung my reluctant nature when I noticed when I didn't pull the trigger. Spun my tires, beat around the bush. Whoa! Upon reflection, this whole hesitance trip, it's working out for me. Hey, at least I didn't ruin the sun. Hesitate with me now.
Thank you.
Bunnies playing first night Northampton at First Churches at 5 p.m. I love it.
It feels like Bunnies is a really good place for like songs that tell stories as opposed to your other projects, which are a little bit smaller moments as opposed to like the epicness that you can get up to in this band. Is that
true? Yeah,
true?
that's a really good way to put it. Yeah, it's kind of like a grand concept that we have going on in a lot of our, even in just one song. Each song has its own like concept or, almost like movie type, thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Rebecca Makehomer Dubs, Jeremy Makehomer Dubs, Matt Newman.
Jack Science.
In absentia, 3/4 of Bunnies. You'll see all 4 Bunnies at First Churches at 5 p.m. on first night, New Year's Eve in Northampton. Thank you all so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a blast.
Our pleasure. And honestly, like your songs are even more epic live. So like this is just a small smackerel of what you'll actually get.
Thank you.
And once again, full disclosure, First Night Northampton is an underwriter of NEPM, but that's not why we're doing this. It's because they have literally 100 people coming to play, and perform. So you should get a swath of that.
Yeah. On the next Fabulous 413, we'll double down on our array of first night bands with a double live music Friday.
With the jangly nostalgic sounds of Couch Boy and the post-punk punch of Teen Driver, both of whom you can see on the very last night of the year in Northampton, and maybe a third bonus band.
We'll also hear from Ayanna Crawford and Dr. Amilcar Shabazz of the Kwanzaa Collective about the many area celebrations happening for the week-long holiday. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. We'll see you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.